Now that you are acquainted with the myriad building blocks of music, Unit 3 concerns more complex organizing elements. This presentation will cover all of Unit 3 and includes rhythm and tempo, meter, melody, harmony, texture, and form. Rhythm is the organization of sound in time. In written music, rhythms are created by putting together the different note values we looked at in Unit 2. The pulse of music is also known as the beat. When we tap our feet, snap our fingers, or clap our hands to music, we are responding to that beat. A strong pulse clarifies rhythm and keeps the music organized. One aspect of rhythm that is often overlooked is silence. Silence is integral to rhythm and music. It helps create tension or respite, and it allows space in the music, especially longer works. The speed of a song is called the tempo. Tempos can vary from very slow to very fast. In addition, the tempo can vary, offering moments of tension and relaxation. In music, we also call this push and pull, or tension and release. Here is a chart of tempo markings commonly found in music. Like most musical markings, they are written in Italian, as were the dynamic markings we studied in Unit 2. You will often find these markings in classical pieces, so it is helpful to acquaint yourself with them. A speed of a song does not always stay steady. The beat can slow down or speed up. Slowing of tempo is called ritardando. Speeding up is known as accelerando. Some music moves and sways in tempo. And this is known as rubato. Rubato means robbed in Italian, and it refers to the idea of stealing time from one beat to make another longer. Once again, it is the idea of push and pull. Meter is how musicians organize the beats into smaller units called measures. A single piece of music can have a few measures or hundreds of measures, depending on the length of the work. Meters are generally categorized as duple or triple. Duple meter has 2 pulses per beat. It has an up and down feel and sounds like 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and. Triple meter is when the beat has 3 pulses and sounds more rounded. 1 and a, 2 and a, 1 and a, 2 and a. The number of beats in one measure depends on the time signature. Here is a chart of common time signatures. A time signature consists of 2 numbers. The top number refers to the number of beats in one measure. That can be any number. The bottom number is the kind of note that gets the beat. This is done mathematically. If you put a 1 over the bottom number, that is the note. For example, if the number is 4, that is the fraction of 1/4, or a quarter note. If it is a 2, then the fraction is 1/2, or a half note. This is how musicians keep music notation organized. One final rhythmic concept is that of syncopation. Put simply, syncopation is rhythm in unexpected places, not on the beats. They are also known as upbeats. 2 terms you should acquaint yourself with are downbeat, or the pulse beat, and upbeats, which occur between the downbeats. Listen to the example of Handel's water music and see if you can hear the difference between the parts of the melody that are on the beat and those that are off the beat. Next, there is melody. Technically speaking, melody is a succession of pitches, or notes. That is a simplistic way of looking at it, and how the notes are put together makes a big difference. An attractive melody can be unforgettable. Melody is better described as the part of the song that most people remember. It is the horizontal or linear part of music. When someone sings a song, he or she is most likely singing the melody. Every culture has melodies that almost everyone sings, so it is a vital part of music making. In classical music, the main melody is often referred to as the theme. The melody moves from note to note in a way called melodic contour. An attractive melody often has a conjunct melodic contour, meaning the notes are close together and there are few large leaps or unusual spaces between the notes. A disjunct melodic contour has large leaps between the notes. It too can be attractive if handled properly, but disjunct melodies can be harder to sing or play. That is why the Star-Spangled Banner is difficult for many people to sing. Many of the passages are disjunct. However, an effective melody usually has a combination of conjunct and disjunct contour. A long melodic contour is known as a phrase. Another aspect of melody is the pitch direction. The pitch can start high and descend, or start low and ascend. It would be limiting if melody only moved in one direction, so an effective melody combines upward and downward movement, as well as repeated notes without upward or downward direction. That is called static melody. A third aspect of melody is pitch range. A melody can have a wide range with lots of notes from high to low, or it can have a narrow range using much fewer notes from high to low. Listen to all three of these elements, contour, direction, and range, in the melodies you listen to. The next part of this discussion of melody is about tonal center. Another way to think of that is as home base. It is the note in a song that gives it a sense of finality. Without a tonal center or home base, music would feel lost and most people would lose interest. It is also known as the tonic, key center, and resting tone. Many classical works identify that note in the title, and the text has examples of that. When a composer moves away from the home base for an extended time, it creates a subconscious tension in the listener. The return to home creates relaxation. As mentioned in the last session, that is the concept of tension and release. Then there is melodic balance, how a composer uses these elements to create tension and relaxation in music. The final part of this lengthy discussion of melody is how composers use it. The final part of this lengthy discussion of melody centers on how composers use the melodies. One way is the use of imitation. Imitation is using the same melody over and over as different players enter. This can be tricky to do, but a skilled composer can do a lot with one idea. Another way is melodic development. Instead of playing the same melody over and over, composers will vary or play with the music. Finally, composers use melodies to get from one idea to the next. This is called transition. These melodies are often brief and unmemorable because they serve merely as a bridge. Where a melody moves horizontally or forward, harmony is the vertical part of music, representing the notes that support the melody. In order to have harmony, there have to be at least two different notes being played at the same time. If you have at least three different notes playing at once, you have what is known as a chord. A chord that is broken into separate notes is called an arpeggio. If you have only one note being played at one time, no matter how many performers are playing or singing it, it is known as a unison. There are two basic kinds of harmony. Consonant harmony is what is most pleasing to the ear. The notes in consonant harmony sound, to be concise, harmonious. Harmonies that clash are called dissonant harmony. The ear so often is able to hear the difference between consonant and dissonant harmony, so listen to the examples in the book to discover how they sound. The last session of Unit 3 explores texture and form. Texture is how melody and harmony blend together. The text discusses three kinds of texture: monophony, polyphony, and homophony. Their names sound similar, so let's discuss them in more depth. Monophony, or a single musical idea being performed without accompaniment or harmony. It does not matter how many people perform it. If it is one unison idea, then it is monophonic. The first known written music, known as plain chant, was monophonic. Polyphony is two or more independent musical lines being performed at the same time. For a piece to be considered polyphonic, both ideas need to be of equal importance. In other words, one line cannot be the melody and the other accompanying. The third type of texture is homophony. Homophony is the main melodic idea that is either harmonized by other lines or supported by them. A simpler way of thinking about it is a melody with an accompaniment. This is the most common texture in music. A typical opera aria or a popular song is homophonic. It is common to have a song or work that have multiple textures throughout. Listen to the examples in the text to hear the difference between these textures. The next concept in the text is form. Form refers to the structure of a piece of music. This is also referred to as the roadmap. You need to know where you are going before you start your journey, and a form provides that guidance. All of the concepts in the first three units, including pitch, center, melody, and rhythm, combine to create the form of a work. Understanding form helps the listener or performer to see the big picture. Ideas are unified through form. Think about the first assignment. You were figuring out the form of a brief piece of music by identifying each melody when they entered. Form is based on two concepts from Unit 1, unity and variety. Unity comes from the repetition and development of a theme or idea. The listener becomes acquainted with this idea, and it provides familiarity and comfort. The listener is kept interested through variety or contrast. Different themes, rhythms, and key centers are introduced to contrast the main theme. Interesting music contains both unity and variety. Many songs are based on the repetition of ideas. These include strophic form, which is typical song form. There is a verse that is repeated with different words each repetition. The verses are separated by a refrain or chorus that is the same every time. Most pop songs are in strophic form. Next is theme and variations. In this form, a theme is presented at the beginning. It is then put through a series of changes or variations, which may sound like the original or may be very different. The changes can be in harmony, melody, rhythm, or other elements. The third form is rondo form, where a main idea alternates with contrasting ideas. A typical rondo form is A, B, A, C, A, B, A. There are two other common forms in music. Binary form is a simple two-part form. It is based on contrast because you have only two ideas and no repetition of either. It is written A, B. Ternary form is known as A, B, A. This ternary form was discussed in Unit 2, and it is based on repetition and contrast. The opening theme or themes are contrasted by a second section. Where it differs from binary form is the return of the A section in the end. This is one of the most common musical forms. This chart shows each form and its basic structure. By familiarizing yourself with these forms and identifying them in the music you hear, it will make listening a more enlightening experience. Understanding how all the building blocks of music work together to create memorable and meaningful experiences will enhance your listening. Now that you have a firm grasp of how music works, we will move into the musical periods in music history.